Hello.
What up? Hi, Mike.
Whoa. Hey, how are you?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Oh shit, hold on. What's going on? We got to keep it legit.
Yes. Looking good. Looking good.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. So the question was, how do you cure and store your hash?
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question.
Just like it maybe a typical, if you had a typical strain that you guys normally ran or cultivar, what would your typical storing be? Is it a shelf? Is it a hot? Is it a
Never hot. So
never hot?
basically the way we work is that it's one thing to keep up with trends in the legacy market, and everybody loves their wet batter style hash right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the jars that you just saw were actually for garbage. They're actually for destruction. They were R&D, and I just wanted to show the team, because we're very focused on that $70 price point.
Yeah.
We're very focused on showing everybody that full spectrum hash not only can be affordable but mind blowing.
Yep.
And this drop is going to be the one that really puts the black market in its place,
Awesome.
so to speak. So I wanted to let the team see that the quality of flower on the legal market is going to be able to be played with and manipulated just the same as legacy market stuff.
Unreal.
So it's a loaded question in terms of the fact there's no one way to cure. It's always going to be up to the THC and terpene content in the plant. In a perfect world, when we're making coins, we do an open cure. So everything is made fresh, pressed fresh. It's put into those sea vaults that you saw, the metal airtight containers, for a couple days tops in a freezer. So the material in theory is being like held in a frozen state. Then we'll pull it out of the freezer and expose it to like 16, 17 degrees so that it's a little bit more easy to manipulate by hand. And that's when we'll roll everything out into long strands.
Okay.
And
I saw that on
start
the
breaking
Instagram.
it down. Right. So that process is basically our curing process right now, because we're very focused on making the manipulated coins, the hand done coins.
Yeah.
As we get into higher valued material and a little bit better grown material, it's going to allow us the opportunity to do things like cold cure jars. And basically cold cure is a fancy way of saying room temperature. So a cold cure is basically a fresh pressed hash that goes into a jar, is sealed, and never opened again. Now, it can be 2 days, 3 days, it could be up to 2 weeks. That's going to be determined by the terpene and THC content of the actual material. So a cold cure is basically a fancy way of saying a jar. I don't know how else to better put it.
That was good. No, that was good.
The only thing you never want to do with hash is allow it to see daylight or sunshine or overhead light. Lights emit heat, and heat is sort of a cheater's way of curing your hash. And I don't mean cheating in a negative way. I just mean a quicker way. And the only thing I don't like about heat tech is that you have less control. When you're cold curing at like 15 degrees, you have a very finite amount of control in terms of if you're checking it every 12 to 24 hours. Once that jar starts to flip over and you see the terpene percentage becoming, people will call it rivers or whatever you want to call it. But as soon as you see that distinction and that separation, I wait till it's about 30% terpene and the rest looks like dry, and then I stir.
Okay.
So that's it. There's no, Instagram will have you believing a million things. But the reality is you just take that fresh pressed hash, you put it in a jar. For best results, vac seal that jar.
Okay.
Vac seal that jar, leave it in a cool, dry, dark area. Check on it every 12 to 24 hours and stir at your own risk. There's no way to really fuck it up. Even if you, in theory, the jars that we showed you that are very crumbly and dry, those would be fuck up jars, but I let those go past the point of no return on purpose because I wanted to see what the oxidization, which is basically a fancy way of saying how did the air affect my
Material.
my material.
Hmm.
So oxidization is it happens when air hits any part of the live rosin.
Yeah.
So that jar that you saw that was super full of terps, that's because that jar was full to the brim. There was no access for any air to get in. So like I said, they're all R&D jars. Unfortunately, we have to throw them in the garbage, which sucks.
Really? Like legal market, you're not allowed doing anything. Wow. Wow, that is crappy. Damn.
All of that has to go into a garbage can.
Just garbage can thrown out. Wow. Crazy.
Straight up has to be destroyed by the QA people.
Yeah. Crazy market we live in,
Sucks.
and that's just because it's
sucks.
being tested or anything, right? And you don't want to lose your brand reputation by selling half product, right? And then
I didn't work my whole life. Well, since 2011, let's say.
Yeah.
I haven't worked a decade to steal some hash out of the lab and fuck my life up.
Yeah. No, totally.
We're not about that. But
no, totally.
Basically, this test was just to say, for me to say to my partners, look what we can do. Yep. And look at what the growers that we're working with, like, guys, I get a ton of really nasty messages, a ton. If I started a profile of just posting nasty messages, it would probably have more followers than El Hasho has. Because people just love that. People just love the drama. But the reality is, to think that the legal market growers, the owners of these LPs, the owners of the microprocessors, to act like they weren't going to catch up is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. And they're catching up. And
I've said it from day one. I said it from day one. As soon as I saw the Ontario Cannabis website open up and you can order less than $4 a gram flower there. It doesn't matter realistically what the quality is. When most people are starting to smoke when legalization came out, they're going there seeing $4 a gram, and that's what they're buying, right?
There's a market for everything. I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind the most, we had a little bit of a snag with our first packaging and the glassine pouches. I think what the customers don't realize, and something I haven't really spoken much about because I don't feel the need to defend, and it comes off as defending instead of rationalizing. The thing is, you have to understand that we are so handcuffed by legality, by what's food grade, what's acceptable, what has COAs that the government will in turn let us package in. And we ran into an issue where I'm from the legacy market more than, I don't know, I feel like I started the legacy market. There was just nobody doing what I was doing in 2011 and 12.
Yep.
So for me, being an absolute broke, starving hash maker, the level of quality of material that we were being given to process and what was coming out of those process weeks wasn't worth $90 to $100. So putting it in a jar, I think what people don't realize is that the dollar of value attached to the packaging, the stickers, the labor, the man hours, it would have put our $70 product at an $85, $90 price tag, and it just wasn't worth it. I know that if I walked in after a hard work week, 40 to 60 hours, and somebody asked me for $90 and I opened that shit and it was not worth $90, I sunk myself. And I just wasn't willing to put in all this work and have my reputation go down the drain by being greedy. When that was said to the partners, they were on board right away. And that's when I knew that Big stood a chance.
Yeah.
When we have material that I believe is worth $90, it'll be in a jar.
Yeah.
100%. It'll be in a jar. Until that day, I'm sorry, it's going to be in parchment.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the quality of what's in that jar right there on the legacy market for under $100 to $120. So our next goal as a team is to make sure that every single thing we put out,
Yeah.
people will line up for.
Mhm.
Every single thing we put out will be comparable to a 710 Labs, Mad River Melts. I'm flaking on names right now. Resin. You want to, if anybody ever wants to have a head to head from California, just give me a month. Just give me a month. Give me a month heads up. Just that's all. That's all I need. Just give me a month heads up, and Canada will stand on that platform with you. I promise you. But right now, I'm enjoying making a $70 product.
Yep.
That people are enjoying.
Yep.
And I'm going to continue to make a $70 product that people are going to enjoy more and more and more than the last time they bought it. And as soon as we're allowed and we have the okay from the government to start using jars.
Oh, you canceled the oh, there you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
As soon as we have the okay to do that, trust me, we will have drops that are in jars. They will not be as readily available as the $70 stuff. But again, I challenge anybody, legal market, legacy market, in the friendliest way possible.
Mhm.
Healthy competition. I live for healthy competition.
Yeah, yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, I almost couldn't even play basketball at the park unless we were playing for something. So I don't take it in a negative light. I encourage it. And believe me, if there's a better $70 product on the legacy market, I'd love to see it. If there's a better one on the legal market, I'd love to see it. I'll be the first one to buy it. But I'm never going to put my ego in front of the reality. And the reality is at $70, we're offering a product that
it looks
it's going to
good.
be hard. It's going to be hard
good
to hang.
And I don't even care.
It's going
Like
to be hard.
without the jars, like for me personally, I'm not a big. I don't really care for the jars. They sit here. I collect
cares?
them. You can't get this. You can't get the final product out of the jar, and it's there's some jars that are nice, obviously, but you're spending what you
Great
said,
point.
$10 to $15 extra probably for the product for a sticker. An anti-leak jar, and then I can understand with some product that might be a little terpy, you might need something. But
Okay, but on the opposite side to that, have you ever had a wet terpy product that you haven't lost when you tried to scrape your jar? Always,
yep.
always something's lost in the jar. Always, 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 always.
Thought I had some here beside me with some stuff stuck in the bottom that I can't get out.
I could show you. I don't keep jars anymore. It's definitely not something I'm into doing, but I used to. And I used to keep, when I had 10 or 15, I would spend an hour scraping them all and I'd get an extra dab or two. But the reality is, we definitely did not. Our first two drops in the glassine pouches, we feel exactly how everybody else feels. It was a learning curve.
My mistake.
It's his fault.
Fucked up the packaging. I'm sorry.
It's all his fault. But at the end of the day, people probably lost as much on those glassine pouches as they do a terpy product in a jar. So to the people that were very, very, very annoyed by it, so were we. So were we. You'll never hear anything different out of anybody on this side of the fence. We didn't like it. We weren't happy about it. It was just all we had and all that was legally available to us at the time. And like I said, at the time we were running outdoor material. It was outdoor harvests. And I thought that $70 was the high end for an outdoor full spectrum product. We did amazing job producing it, and it was worth every dollar of that $70. There was live resin products on the market at $90. There was flower rosin products on the market still at $90.
Still on the market. Still on the market.
Still. So hey, if anybody's listening, get your flower rosin off the shelves at $96.
How do you, I got Please some nice flower rosin here. Look at that.
Is that an empty jar? Oh no, it's just very shiny. It's so shiny. It's so shiny.
Is that an empty jar?
I was like, Is he joking? No,
Funny.
it was the glare. It was the glare.
Oh, that's good.
But look, I'm not saying flower rosin can't be enjoyable.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is at $98,
No, yeah,
something's missing here.
missing, definitely
And
missing.
it's and it yeah, I don't care if it's in a jar. I don't want it for $98.
Yeah. Well, and what the thing too
So
is that with the legal market, it's not like we're selling 10 gram, 15 gram concentrates. We're selling a gram at a time. So it's not like you're going through it in maybe 1-2 sittings. It's not like it's sitting there on yourself. And people who are going out and paying $60, $70 a gram aren't people who are holding rosin for a month. They're smoking it quick. Like if you're smoking it over a month, you're not smoking rosin enough. Like,
no, especially if it's sitting out.
yeah.
But I've done a lot of tests with our coins, from buying them from retail to just leaving them at room temperature on my desk. They hold up really well. So it's a testament to how well we cleaned it. But like I said, the minute, not to put myself on a pedestal, my partners will agree with you. There's one of them, John and Scott. But the minute we have product that we all feel that when you guys as a general public go to the store and open that $90 jar, that $100 jar, you're going to be like, this is better than anything I've ever bought on the black market.
Yeah.
When that happens, believe me, I'll be the first person to put it in a jar. For right now, all the testing we're doing is going incredibly well. We're about to throw away about 200 grams of 6-star hash, like full on. It checks every box, and we have to throw it in the garbage. So it's a testament to the commitment that this company has. You know?
Exactly.
We're not going to put anything out to fool anybody. We're not in this to get rich quick. I don't even think getting rich is in the plans when it comes to live rosin. But I'm a 40-year-old with 2 kids. I've spent the last decade of my life trying to make myself happy and find out what that actually means or feels like.
That's why I started the Bud Lab. That's why I'm here today talking to you.
There you go. You just got to do what makes you happy, man.
Exactly.
So, none of us get paid to do this. We're all owners, so we don't see anything but cost until that magical day that maybe,
Yep.
So, I live an hour away from the lab. Scott and John live an hour and a half. They're right in the heart of Toronto. So for us to be here and work 10, 12, 16-hour days, this is for the love of doing it,
Yeah, totally.
And we're not going to step on our own toes by letting any ego or competing for a high price point on the shelves. There's no competition here. The only people we're in competition with is ourselves. And I think that's what breeds the quality.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to call it success until I see pay or until I see some sort of financial recuperation from any of this. I'm not going to consider it a success, but I see how the public has accepted it, and that's more than any paycheck I'll ever see.
You'd fit right in with the community here. TBL, it's literally what we're all about. Last 2 years that's literally what we've been pushing, is trying to remove the stigma behind cannabis and trying to get anybody who, we're not so much into pressing and stuff or extracting, but trying to get anybody who has $100 budget to be able to grow their own. Because if you know where it's coming from the beginning all the way through, you can take your own flower and you could press it. You can do whatever the hell you want. And that, even if that flower rosin's the shittiest flower rosin you've ever seen, it's yours, and you know where it came from all the way through. And it's nice to be able to know you're doing it in a larger scale, not just for yourself. You're watching over thousands of people who might be purchasing the product and saying, no, this is what I would smoke because I've seen the process all the way through. That's why I sell it.
No, it's 100%. That's 100%. My first soil to oil attempt is actually this weekend. I started growing about 5 months ago.
Awesome.
Ever since I made the decision to be in the legal market instead of the legacy market, I've cut off doing any production for people. I've been buying my own hash for the past 1.5 to 2 years off of legacy market dealers. And I'm just tired of paying $120 to $200 a gram, getting home and being like, fuck, I'm 10 times better than this.
Yeah.
And I know how that's going to come across to certain people. I know that
it's dedication.
anybody,
you're dedicated. You don't want you've done the bottom, and you've done the bottom. You're ready for the next, and you're ready to show. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. Do you guys do any when you guys get the product in? Do you guys do any test washes before you go with it, like a jar tech or anything like that?
I don't jar tech anything on this scale. It's just on this scale, it's too hard to get a good idea of what you're in for when you're working with thousands of kilos and you're test washing 5-6 grams in a mason jar. It doesn't really, there's no sense of security in that information. When you're doing smaller tests or you're washing your own outdoor or this or that, if you do the mason jar test, it'll give you a really good idea of what kind of heads you're working with, whether they're really sticky and hard to get off or whether they're a capitate style head that's just ready to jump off. You'll know with that mason jar test. And the reality is, especially for your own grow, you're washing it anyway. You've already made that commitment because you've decided not to dry.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do that mason jar test because it'll give you an idea of like what you're in for in terms of length of washes, how many washes, how much the bud just wants to just get rid of those heads. For a visual test, it's a great test. For a percentage or numerical test, it's not a good test because that jar test is a visual test. You're never pouring that jar through any bags and seeing the yield percentage or the yield numbers. You're literally just looking for a visual. So I'm not denouncing that test because, I've promoted it a million times, but it's a visual test. It's not a numerical. It's not. It's not gonna give me any information at this scale. We have to do a full wash, which is why we end up with jars like that with 140 grams in it that have to get thrown away.
Yeah. What is the temperature of the water you guys washing?
0 or under.
0 under. And you have that, it's just always set to that, or is it just like that comes out of the tap at that price? At that temperature?
No, we use RO water, so it's coming from like almost a room temperature. So we let it sit in big vessels with ice before it gets pumped into our wash vessel.
Okay.
And then we have a thermometer in there. So as soon as it hits 0, we start washing.
Yeah, and all your ice too. I think you mentioned earlier was all RO ice as well, right?
Yeah, it's all approved ice. Yeah.
Do you guys? This might be a complete wash question, but do you guys reuse your waste water with the RO system?
No, everything gets pumped into the garbage.
Okay.
Everything gets. We never reuse water. There's water is a solvent, so it's not that this. It's gonna come off like I'm annoyed, but I'm not. I'm just passionate. Yep. So I've heard this talk had a million times. I believe in science, which I think we all should. I'm a believer in science. So if water is a solvent, it's the world's greatest solvent. You never want to reuse water because what's going out is coming back in. So if I'm comfortable with the fact that I'm not going to collect a 25 bag and I want all of that garbage, I'm never going to collect it, I'm never going to use it, then I don't want that water either. I'm not going to try and recuperate that water or whatever that water took with it, because what I'm trying to get rid of is all the negativity. So anything that doesn't get caught in those bags, chlorophyll, fats, lipids, anything that escapes my final bag can go fuck itself. I don't want it back. It's like a girl that cheats on you is never coming back. Not to me. She belongs to the street. Yeah.
That's funny.
The hood can have her.
I think he mentioned, I don't know if you can talk about it much, but I think he mentioned cartridges. Are those solventless cartridges that you guys are working with?
That must have been Scott.
Okay.
Because I won't talk about cartridges. Vape carts.
No, vape carts are being made next door. They're not ours.
Oh, they're not ours.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if they were solventless or not.
No, they would be solvent.
Yeah, we share the processing. We share the processing facility, It's not all ours. So
Okay.
when I was talking about vape carts, that's not us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not us.
That's not us.
All right.
I won't until I see, like, let's consider California and Colorado the mecca of where this is done, the mecca of where, to be honest, like, I wouldn't say California's the mecca of where hash came from. Depends on what type of hash we're talking about. But for the type of hash we're talking about, Colorado and California kind of led the way. And if they haven't figured out solventless carts yet, I'm not going to try.
Yeah, there's not enough people doing it, right? And it's not coming out with a good product. Yeah, exactly. Price tag and product coming out. The quality, if you can't get, like you said, if you can't get the quality for the price tag, what the hell are you doing?
And think about this. I know this is a really general way of putting it, and people might not like this, or some people might be like, this guy's a genius. I fucking love this guy. Picture taking a gram of really good hash, putting it in your banger, dabbing, and then saying, you know what? I'm just going to leave this in here and keep reheating it. That's a fucking vape cart. Okay? For everybody that's going to take offense to this right now, I'm really sorry. But
I like it.
If you take a gram of hash, throw it in your banger, cold start it, and then just leave it and keep coming back to it every time you dab, it's going to consistently taste like shit more and more and more.
Dog walk,
and that's what you're doing.
Right?
And that's what you're doing with a vape cart. That's all a vape cart is. It's a banger with a lid on it that you keep cold starting. So fuck vape carts. Fuck asking me about vape carts. And fuck everybody who makes vape carts. And straight up,
I love it.
And straight up, everybody that wants to make a solventless vape cart, I don't want your reheated fucking rosin at $150 fucking dollars.
Can you see the chat going beside me on the screen?
No, I don't see anything.
No, I
don't see it.
They're loving it. They're loving it. They're all.
Hey, send all the hate messages to Hasho at Instagram.
No, they're saying this is true. This is so true. Thank you. This guy is the best. Love this guy.
Fuck vape carts.
Great shit, brother. That's funny.
Hey, listen, if you want to take that cart or that device like up to a cottage, or you're around your kids, like, I totally get it. Do not buy a solventless vape cart. Buy a solvent-based vape cart. Allow them to put in the mixtures that will keep it liquid. Allow them to put in what they need that will still pass testing. Listen, in a world of solvent-based vape products, you're going to get a better end user experience than a solvent-based product over solventless. You're going to get a better end experience, even though it's still going to be a shit experience in my definition. You're going to get a better experience, especially if you smoke it fast. If you commit to smoking that cart over like a 48-hour period, you're at a family function, etc., go ahead and do it. But don't go pay $100 plus for it, because you're getting sucked into branding. You're not getting sucked into quality.
Yeah.
The quality in solvent-based extraction is in the extractor. They have such amount of control over how many times they can filter it, etc., re-add terpenes, bring back terpenes. We don't have that control. All the control I have is my hands. So I will never personally back a solventless vape cart over a solvent-based vape cart just because of user experience and cost. You can get a solvent-based vape cart down to a price where it's enjoyable for the price. Until
you can get quality,
I'm not fucking with it.
You're not fucking with it. Exactly.
I'm not fucking with it. I'm not backing anybody.
Awesome. What's the number one thing?
The home-based hash maker has to do two things. A, they have to fail before the fire. If you're the one growing, start looking into things, start reading things about how you flush or don't flush. Hash makers have so many different opinions on whether the plants should be flushed, whether they shouldn't be flushed and pushed right till the end.
UV, how
I
about
would
UV
say,
lights, UVB? You guys looking into that? UVB, UVA?
because we don't have the control over growing, I like to let my partners, do the digging and the finding of the producers. Um, to me personally, I always just say this to the newbie: there's nothing like experience. Making hash is like making it into the UFC. You're not going to win one fight and be handed a contract. It's
Exactly.
just not. It's not how it's going to go. You need to be in that octagon a million times before you can say, like, I'm ready for a contract. So if you're growing at home, the thing I say is keep growing, keep pressing, keep washing. There's never going to be a book written or an overnight like solution to making good hash. So we've struggled a million times, even at our level, finding producers that make or grow good weed.
Can you
At the
pick
end of
that?
the day,
Can you pick the producers, or do you have like there's a wholesale, this is what's coming, this is
no,
what we have to make? Or can
we
I
can
say,
pick,
okay,
we can pick who we work with.
awesome.
We can
That's
pick who
nice.
we work with. The availability of good product is always hard. That's for
Okay.
sure. You have guys like Carmel and Mishka and Muskoka Grown and shit, what's that guy's name from Vancouver? I'm so bad at this.
Probably
I'm
a
so
couple.
bad. I hear so many names, right? And so a lot of good producers aren't being mentioned right now, but there's so many.
Yeah.
I think the thing that stands out is the fact that hash is a sport of repetition. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2011. I started off with flower rosin,
Hair straightener,
liquid nitrogen, hair straighteners, liquid nitrogen extraction. I've literally been up and down the scale. And like I said, my job would be a lot harder if the legal flower market hadn't been catching up at such a rapid pace. So all the respect in the world has to go out to the growers, because they're learning on the fly. Their hands are just as tied as a hash makers. The legality of all this shit sucks a bag of fucking dicks.
literally.
Like, it's so hard, man. It's so hard to go from a garage to a legal setting because you have all the control in the world in the legacy market. And with me, I have 5 different people who've never made hash before with clipboards and fucking goggles, telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So it's been a big process of me learning how to work around them. And I think that's the number one thing for people trying to break into the legal market. Learn how to control your frustration. Because at every fucking turn, you're going to be frustrated as hell. And to the people learning how to make hash at home, man, buy some 5-gallon pails for $3 at Home Hardware. Buy yourself a bag. Buy yourself a set of bags off Amazon. And don't cut corners. Make sure you buy yourself a $300 freezer. Freeze all your crops for 48 hours to a week. Get them in the water real fast. Don't let anything climatize or de-thaw. Get it in the water, stir it up, pour it through your bags. Just keep learning, keep watching YouTube videos. There's no replacement for time on the fucking street. There's no replacement for work put in. Stop hitting up your favorite hash maker and asking for tips. You're not there yet. Like, people ask all the time, hey man, like, check out these 35 fucking pictures I sent you. It's like, bro, I hate to say this, but like, I have 2 kids, a wife, a job. I do not have time to read the hundreds of DMs that I get, and I wish I could. I'm finding a way to work with somebody that can go through my DMs for me. But let me speak on behalf of like the top 10 guys in Canada. It's impossible for us to start a conversation that inevitably never ends. Because if me and the other 9 of us got into a room together, we could talk for days about what we all do differently, how we harvest, how we do this, how we do that. And all 10 of us have a different way.
Yep.
And if I answer one DM, it inevitably starts a conversation with that person that they have time for and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either I don't answer you or I leave you hanging.
And it's
So
not us being rude, chat. That's not us being rude. That's we're
no.
reading it. We're reading it. It's just we can't move forward because we have to answer every single one.
You got to think, yeah, man. For every guy that has 400 followers that asks me a question, I have, 2 to 3,000 that are constantly seeing my stories, seeing my posts. I could get 500 to 1,000 comments on a post. Imagine having to answer 500 or 1,000 conversations. It's like I would literally work 24 hours a day just answering everybody back. So one of the things that we're trying to do is create a platform where all of those tips and questions can be answered, and we're trying. So
the Bud Lab.
I know. There you go. Maybe. No, look, it's true because I didn't even know what Twitch was until this morning.
Really?
I thought it was a gamer platform.
It is a gamer platform. I mean, and 2 years ago, we kind of, as soon as it legalized here, I kind of thought the gamer platform. Most people who game smoke, and most people who buy a computer for $2,500 also want to go out and buy a grow room for $2,500 because it's the exact same electronics.
Amazing crossover.
I created a whole community around that, and right now we've got 131 people watching you right now.
That's amazing. See, but without your platform and the potential for that crossover, an old fuck like me would be like, isn't that a gamer platform? Like, I haven't played a video game in 10 years. So for me, I just never looked that far into it. But the reality is it's with relationships like this and collaborations like this going forward that there can be a platform for direct knowledge, direct question answering. Because I could go through my DMs and, if I have 600, I guarantee you 35 of those 600 are all going to be repetitive questions.
Yep.
How do you cold cure? Well, it's not actually cold curing, because I don't know why it's called cold curing, because it should be called cold storage. Because to store for a long time and maintain that look or that terpene profile, you cold store. You don't cold cure. Curing would be slowed down if it was in a cold environment. And as a producer, I don't want to slow down my cure. I just want to catch my cure at that 20 to 30% level where I can stir it and keep up with the trend of wet hash.
Awesome.
You go back to when I started, and the coins became famous in like 2014 as the Pharaoh coins. For anybody that remembers Pharaoh extracts, the Pharaoh coins were based on a company out of California called Resin, REZN. And they're the ones that really made the coin famous because it was like flippable and manipulatable, and you could hold it in your hands like an actual coin, like a quarter. So that's where the coins came from. Now the trend has gone to much wetter hash.
Yeah, donuts and stuff.
I still prefer drier hash. I like the terpene profile better on the non-toxic terpene level. That very violent, vagrant, fucking burn your nose terpene. I prefer the doughy, more muted terpenes where you taste like the cake or the cookie underline instead of just having teary eyes from the terpenes, the wet terpene. So keeping up with trends is one thing, and then making a product
that you want to
consumable is totally separate. So we'll always try and keep up with trends until that trend doesn't make sense to Hasho.
Yeah.
And that's where my ego, or whatever you want to call it, or experience, thanks Scott, experience will come in. Because it's not about being combative or, oh, I have to have it my way. No, I know the end user experience so well, because more than the hash maker, I'm the end user. Nobody loves hash more than I do. So I don't go to the black market to buy my own $120, $140, $250 gram of American hash. Let me just put this out there. If you are buying $200 plus gram hash just because it comes from the United States, get to the back of the line on the short bus, bro. Because
Nice.
What the fuck are you doing? What
Spending
the fuck?
too much money.
There's Canadian hash makers out there that shit all over the U.S. hash, all over. Cannabis, Amorous Gardens, Living Earth Organics, Van Span, fucking El Hasho. I could go on forever of Canadians that shit all over American hash. And you guys have the nerve to go spend $250? Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me?
I love it. USD
Go
too.
to go to the OCS right now. Go right now. Order 3 grams of big, and I swear to God, you get 3 grams. Like, come on, guys. Start supporting what's here in front of us. And I don't mean just for me. Don't even buy my shit. Go buy other people's. I don't fucking care. But don't go spend $250 on fucking US hash. Bruh. Please stop. Please stop. There is guys in Canada shitting all over that stuff. And like I said, if you are not following Canna Russ, Amorous Gardens, Living Earth Organics, Van Span, Pineapple Reserve, fucking, who else? Subsidium Secreto. Ah, my brain is so fucking broken. I don't remember everybody. Van Span, did I say Van Span? I don't fucking know. Guys, go support Canadian-based hash makers. Go support people in this country that are not trying to jack you. Go support people that care about the end user. Do not stop buying Louis Vuitton belts. The shit is canvas wrapped in plastic. It's not leather. It's not leather. And you're fucking you do it. Stop that shit. Stop it right now. Stop it for your own benefit. Okay, I'm gonna pass on this before I fucking sink the company. Hold on a second.